Welcome once again to the Lab Podcast. This is your host, Andate Maurice. I want to thank you for joining us today, this early Friday, a very beautiful day. And today we are going to talk about a very specific topic that always comes up when I'm doing discussions with different people, and that is called identity. How can we, as especially Africans, break away from the identity crisis that is really pushing us backwards, making us not move forward in terms of development? And for me, I think I've come to understand that identity really varies from one person to another, and also it really varies in terms of what kind of reality are you living in, and what kind of place do you want to move when it comes to moving forward in terms of development, also that is personal development, and also at community development. And it is really key because right now, the world that we're living in a PC society, and a PC society is really helping in terms of shaping the identity of different people from one way to another. And for me, I always say identity can really vary because everything that everyone knows is learned, which means that everything that you know, someone else can learn, and also someone else can get to identify themselves with whatever group that they want to. I'll give an example. There is someone who is living here in Nairobi and living in Embakasi, and when you meet that person and you see the way they're discussing, you can find that speaking in a way that you may think that Americans, speaking that English that you think is a black American, but at the end of the day you might find that he has never ever stepped in America, which means our society is a little bit diverse, and not just a little bit, it is very diverse, which means people can pick different identities and live with them. But at the end of the day, something that I always tell people is identity does not really guarantee success in one way or another. It does not guarantee that you are going to move forward, or you are going to move towards a specific development. And this is in the basis of whatever we do or whatever we wish that at the end of the day things can really happen. So for me, I always start by saying, you as a single person, when you're moving towards development, you need to identify one thing. You need to know what is your reality, because your reality is the reality that you're living in. It is not something that you're imagining, which means if you're poor, then at the end of the day you're poor. If you are rich, at the end of the day you are rich. If you're disadvantaged in one way or another, I'll give an example of us who are living in Africa. We are living in a society where it is a third world society, and that is just the reality, whether we like it or not. So whenever we are living or whenever we are talking about identity, number one, you need to understand the reality that you are living in is just the reality. You're not imagining it. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that is not something that is going to push you towards development. It is not something that is going to guarantee either you're going to develop, move forward, or not. Because at the end of the day, the decisions that you make may change whatever projection or whatever direction you are moving. And another thing that apart from reality is different excuses that people give are valid at different areas. For me, I have I make several excuses in everything that we do, but at the end of the day, those things are always valid. Whatever I always just say is, if you have that excuse, does it hold that key to success? No, it doesn't. Different excuses, it doesn't. So I always say this: if you have excuses on whatever you're doing, what is the next forward? What is the nini? It because living towards those excuses won't change your circumstance, or it won't change whatever you're going to do. Then this will now bring in the issue that I was talking about, us living around a society that is PC. It is a PC movement where everything that everyone is doing is based on judgment. It is going to be judged with whatever people are doing, because everyone wants to be political correct, but everyone doesn't want to live in the reality that they're living in today. So you find that us living in that PC society or that PC culture really clouds whatever we want to do in the basis of whatever emotions that you are going to give out. So people get stuck on emotions, and they do not look at the reality that they're living in and find whatever solutions that they can get in one way or another. So you find that every single person is now clouded with emotions, and now they cannot move forward. And it is either you choose one side, either you stick on the emotions, or you choose you choose progress. Because at the end of the day, you cannot ride with the two. You cannot ride with emotions and also think that at the end of the day you're going to get progress in one way or another. And I will give an example. If there is an athlete, or there is someone who's going to the gym, and they're doing exercises in one way or another, you'll find that after some time the body starts to react to whatever activities that he's doing. And you'll find through his reaction, the body's reaction, he might feel like, I think I don't have to do this anymore. And either they can stop or they can continue. And you find if they stop, then they'll be reacting based on the emotions, which means they will not get the right results that they wish to get. But if they stop and say, okay, by the this is something that is body, you see, that is an excuse, and it is the reality, and it is valid. But at the end of the day, if he knows this is where my body can reach, and this is where, in terms of the exercise, every day I'm going to do 100 push-ups, I'm going to do 100 sit-ups, and at that moment those are enough, then at the end of the day, whatever he has to do, he has to spread them across the week, and he has to continue over and over. And when you talk to different athletes, they will tell you the reality is work starts when you start feeling that the body is really being pushed towards the wall, and you feel that it is becoming very painful. That means then you need to start moving forward. So which means that from the reality that people are living in, and the excuses that they always give, one thing that they need to know, they need to get the lessons. You see? So what lessons have you learned from the reality that you're living in? And these lessons, have you started picking them one by one and move forward? Just the same way as people who go to karate. If today you went to fight karate, you went to be trained on karate, when you make your first move and you're beaten, the next time you'll not make the same move, which means at the end of the day you have already identified this is the reality. If I throw my punch, maybe the left punch, maybe I leave the space on the right side, which now I'll be beaten. So that lesson that you get is the one that you need to now move forward. And this is today I want to talk about that identity, because we are living in a world where everyone is stuck and embedded on emotions. And these emotions are not just embedded on them themselves, on whatever is giving, whatever life is giving to them. It is also embedded on what others are doing, and now they get stuck into judging each and every single person, now pushing away whatever they need to do, and that doesn't guarantee or doesn't bring progress. If you get stuck on that, then now when you get stuck on being in the PC culture, and being embedded in emotions on every single thing. Right now, if a woman does everything, everyone wants to judge. If a man does anything, everyone wants to judge, wants to get into it. So you find everyone is embedded in the emotions, forgetting that we need to move forward, we need progress. And us getting stuck on such kind of things, it is a little bit demeaning when you're talking about development, when you're talking about giving out progress, because when you're looking at sustainable ways of living or sustainable ways of development, you'll find there is nowhere that is written when you continuously judge someone, then it is going to bring progress, because it doesn't. So we have lost that perspective of the opportunities that we get based on our generation, and focus on what we wish that this generation can get, or who is politically correct, or who is saying this and that, who is at the end of the day on our side or on our court. And you find that the reality that we are living in is not in the basis of what we have made, but it is in the basis of whatever generation that came in front of us, what they made. Because for them, if the systems worked for them very well, I'll give an example of the education system here in Kenya. If for them it worked very well and it made them successful towards whatever they were doing in terms of work, when it comes to family, when it comes to different things, if that worked for them, then at the end of the day, that is their reality, and they will keep running towards it and making it a solution to everything. But for us, as the new generation that is coming up, we know it is coming up with different perspectives of life, because now with the internet and having all this social media, the world has become a small village. So which means the perspective of whatever we do is really changing. So we lose the perspective of whatever advantages our society has been given, or in the basis of our generation coming up, and we get stuck on the emotions of the PC. We want these people to behave this way because when they behave this way, it now relates to who I am. So I won't discuss one or two with you, or I won't get on the table with you, because I feel the way you project, the way you give out your ideas is not in the basis of whatever I like. But now that doesn't guarantee progress in one or another. And you find with the people like us who really try and discuss and help and try to help people get to understand how development works, it becomes a little bit very difficult. Because I'll give an example. If right now I talk something that is politically incorrect, or something that is wrong when it comes to development agenda, people just talk about it on Twitter. But when you look at someone like our grandparents, or our great grandparents, I'll get maybe, but maybe I'll talk about our parents and our grandparents. If they would have talked anything wrong about the politics, maybe they will be arrested and taken to court, and that was their reality. So you found for them it reached a point where they will flow with whatever the society gives them, so that at the end of the day they can be successful, and it really worked for them. But that doesn't mean it is the reality of whatever we're living in. So I'll give an example. For us who are in Africa, the day that you realize that here in Kenya we are living in a third world country, then it means it is the high time where you can come up with solutions that propels you, and know that I need to work extra hard, or I need to get these and these specific skills, so that now I can be successful and move forward. But if we live in a facade of whatever we want or we wish to be living on, or the future that we wish to be living in, then you find that you'll start making very improper decisions. You find the proper skills that you're supposed to get, you will not focus on them. So you find that this is now something that is going to push generations to the back, where now they cannot move forward, because now they're stuck on specific things. They don't want to create solutions, or they don't want to accept that you have to work that extra mile, so that at the end of the day you can get one or two. And you find this one now puts people in chains. Now we are stuck on gender wars. We are stuck on political wars. We are stuck on what do you call, especially here in Kenya, we are going to talk about tribe. Now we are bringing up things to do with tribalism, and yes, people will identify with that. It is the reality that it is something that is really good to identify with, but that does not guarantee that at the end of the day there is going to be progress. And you find the hardest thing is to bring people to reality, and for them to accept what they are, not who they want to be, or have been taught to be, or wish to be, or the society they wish that at the end of the day they will be living in, or they will get. And you find this is cause we are embedded in this thing called identity. No. So we focus on things to do with masculinity. Oh, this is what you're going to this is what these people have gotten of all these years, and we have not gotten. So we get stuck on the politics, and forget that, oh, okay, we are living in a world where opportunities are given to both gender. So at the end of the day, with these opportunities that are being given, how am I making sure that I really work an extra mile so that I as a person, or I as a specific person, I can move forward? Because when you look at this thing, we forget that there is one that is always mad, and another one it is exclusive. It is just like a black and white thing, and most of these things are because of the society that we're living in, and we have been given we have been given these things to think that they're working for us. For example, one thing that is exclusive is if you are illiterate, you're not educated. It is just a black and white thing. If I am a man, I will definitely not be a woman, or definitely I will not be a lady. But at the end of the day, we are not focusing on that. We are focusing on, okay, what are the emotions that are attached to this? What are the emotions that are attached to this? Now we get ourselves that we have put ourselves in a box where now we cannot free ourselves, or we cannot be free to run for solutions in one way or another. In one way or another. So you find tools to do with social media. We're talking about discussions from one way or another. Talking about TV is a thing that propel or give us these kind of identities, and we get stuck to them. So you find someone is stuck on an identity where you feel that because I'm a woman, then at the end of the day the society is against me. No. So because I am this, at the end of the day, because I'm an African, I cannot make something that is quality. Or if I get to a plane, or I get to a plane where now the pilot is an African, maybe I'm not going to get to the destination I'm not going to get to the destination that I want. And this brings out to a society, and it puts us in a society where we cannot move forward, we cannot create progress in one way or another. I'll give just an example of Kenyan made products. People will not run for products that are made in Kenya because they will feel it is of low quality. So you find that people will run to import items, so pushing a society towards no one is now manufacturing. And in terms of the reality of the matter is, for development to happen in a country, then now we need to also focus on manufacturing, not just creating shops, not just creating supermarkets, not just creating malls. The key to progress is, are you manufacturing, are you making your own products? Because if you make your own products, then at the end of the day people will buy from your country, people will buy your product. And at the end of the day, if people buy the products from your country, the money is circulating in the system. But for us, because we have been born with an identity where we do not believe that whatever product an African is making is not of that top-notch quality, you find that now we import more, and the more we import, then that doesn't guarantee progress in one way or another. So identity is just a cover given to you by the society, but that doesn't guarantee progress. I will still focus on that. The fact is, you don't have to be propelled by the notion of the society for you to move forward, or for you to be guaranteed progress. Because now you find, for those who break away from those chains, from those who break away from whatever the norm of the society is, and they say, okay, this is where I'm going to live, this is the reality of where I am born in, and maybe in a village here in Kenya, and this is where I am. But at the end of the day, I wish to be in a specific place, so I'm going to move, or I'm going to gain these skills, one or two or three skills, and these skills are going to help me in terms of moving forward. So maybe I can start by manufacturing peanut butter. Maybe I'll start by manufacturing, by making this type of clothes, so that when I sell, and I sell at this price, then when people start making, then it means my product is going to move, and I'm going to develop myself as a brand, or a different thing that you want to be. So this now breaks you if if you are not propelled by the notion of whatever society has given you, like a PDF. Or let's say that the society has given you like a PDF document, and say this is where you're going to live. If you're not propelled with that, then now you move away from I can't, because I always tell people there are two different things. It is either you can't or you should not. Now, and those two things are very different. If you tell me I can't get into a room, it doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to get into that room. No, no. If you say I shouldn't be able to run, it doesn't mean that I can't run. I can run. But at the end of the day, I shouldn't run maybe in that place because maybe of security reasons or one way or another. So we need to look for a way how we put these things into test, where you say okay, I shouldn't be abusing this person, but that doesn't mean that I can't do that. I shouldn't be able to take this opportunity, but that doesn't mean that I cannot take it. I can take it, but because of maybe the rules or the norms of the society that you're living in, it does not allow you to move that way. It's just the same way as freedom. For me, I always say freedom is something that is a human right. It is not something that you have to go and look for. It is a human right, but now it has rules and norms, and it has processes that you can go to achieve. For financial freedom, you have to work very hard for the end of the day to make that money so that it can be financially free. For you as a human, and in terms of mentally to be free, you have to make sure that you cleanse yourself every day. If it is going to take meditation, if you're going to take this, so that at the end of the day you can be mentally free. So at the end of the day, it is a human right. You have the right to have them, but now there are processes and procedures that you have to take. You cannot just have them in the basis of maybe because I am a woman or because I'm a man, it is a guarantee for you to give me this. So these are things that you have to work at the end of the day towards getting. So we when we look at these things and we look at society, previously I've talked about having a society where now with the internet, it has become something that is very small in terms of geography, and you find we are moving away from the geographical meaning in terms of society into a cyclical graphic of society, where it means someone who's living in Kenya can speak American English just sitting on the screen of sitting on YouTube, but he has never gone to America. I'll give an example. For us here in Africa, we have a rapper called Calligraph Jones. The first time you will have listened to him and listened him talk, you'll think that he has been in US, but he hasn't been US. But at the end of the day, he knew his reality of where he was. Then now he took specific skills that would have made him a little bit different from his peers, and through that, then at the end of the day, he created his own specific kind of identity, and he propelled himself towards progress. So he removed himself from the emotional aspect of it, of oh, I am from maybe a slum area. These police don't do this, they don't do this, or I need. So he moved away from emotions and looked at, this is the reality that I'm living in, so I need to move an extra mile. And through that extra mile, it is where he has moved towards him being a very good model. So I will look at things to do with gender, things to do with religion, things to do with color, things to do all these things. These are different identities that are really, really putting us into chains, and they do not guarantee progress, whether we like it or we don't. Really do not guarantee progress. So at the end of the day, if you break yourself from that chain, then now you look at, okay, for me today, I woke up as so and so, and I live in Africa, and this is the reality of life that I'm going to live in, but that is not going to dictate whatever I'm going to do. So I need progress. So how do I make sure that if I'm also craving this progress, how am I moving forward? What is the next step that I'm moving? So that now we move away from this PC culture, and we move towards, this is what the society needs. This is what, as a generation, this is what we need. Then at the end of the day, we need to work very hard. And if you're working very hard, then at the end of the day, uh, we are going to get this progress. And the only way you are going to do this is having the willingness to learn. As I was starting, I talked about everything that people know they learned in one way or another, which means I am not less smart than you just because you know a specific skill. I can go and learn it. Then at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we are going to be on the same level. And every single person in everywhere in terms of this society that we're living in have to do that. That means when you're looking at also Africa, you need to identify what are the kind of resources that are available for me. Yes, I'm living in this area, so that I do not start creating solutions that are first world country, but I am living in a third world country. The solution will sound very well. They'll sound that that's something that can be worked on, but at the end of the day, it is not the reality that you're living in. So you find that you get stuck on a loop of having very good ideas, but at the end of the day they are not working. Is because you are trying to push away the reality that you're living in and move forward. So that now, if you accept, then now you learn whatever skills that are needed. After you have already learned those skills that you've needed, then you put in the work of whatever is needed from you. Then when you've already put on that work, then now you can move forward. And always do this in terms of when you're looking at things to do with karate. I'll give an example of karate. If you go to karate and you get trained, you're given belts at different levels. There's the black belt, there's the white belt. I don't know if maybe someone can tell me if there is any other different type of belt. And when one day I came to ask someone, why is it that these people are always being given belts when they do karate, he told me one thing. Number one, for human beings love incentives. If I do something, then at the end of the day, people love getting that incentive and getting something in return. And you find when you've already identified yourself, you've already created that identity, and you've already accepted the reality that you're living in, when you work, you get that incentive. You say, okay, I've gotten this skill. When you get that skill, when you go to work at the field level, you develop yourself. That means that is progress. So it's just the same way as karate. When you fight, when you go get trained at the first level, you get the first belt. That is the first incentive. That incentive helps you propel yourself towards a certain goal. If I go get this skill in terms of maybe engineering, and I go to work and get good pay, and I'm at level 1, and they say if you move towards level 2, maybe your pay is going to increase, or whatever is going to increase, you'll find that so many people in that area will go to school, because definitely human beings are driven by incentives. So when you as a person, you're working towards a specific goal, you need to understand, am I getting incentives from this thing, or am I not get incentives? Cannot be in the basis of monetary, but in the basis of, are you progressive, are you moving forward? You as a person, when you're looking at yourself, I am at this level, am I progressing? I have maybe land at home that I'm not using, and this land that I'm not using at home, if I start by planting cabbages, or I start by planting kales, or I start by planting tomatoes, if I plant and I sell and I get money out of it, the money that I'm going to get out of it is the fruits of my work. Then that means that is an incentive that only propel me to develop more and more and more. But at the end of the day, if you have land and you're not using, the incentive that you're going to get is not something positive. So you still be broke, you still be at the same level that you are in, so you're not getting something out of it. If you're not getting incentive out of anything that you do in terms of emotions or anything, then it means you need to sit down and restructure. You restructure yourself, or you restructure whatever things you're doing. So from that, number one, you get the incentives. Then now those incentives are in the best of the reward systems that you're going to get. You see, then another thing is also identity. So if you get a black belt, you'll identify yourself at that level. So you see, if you see another person who has a different belt or a different color in terms of belt, you'll find that you are not going to get into you're not going to fight him, you're not going to what do you call you're not going to force yourself to be at the same level as that person. So it means you'll have to work an extra mile, or going to work an extra mile, so that at the end of the day you can get to that you can get to that level. So you find these opportunities will come at different levels, will come with different opportunities. So you find that at the end of the day you're going to be working towards progress, towards the second. So I've gotten this white belt, okay, I need this other belt, so I have to work extra hard, I have to come to extra what do we call training, I have to do this and this. So at the end of the day you are moving forward and moving forward and moving forward. So you need to learn, so that at the end of the day you can move progress. You need to understand the system that you're living in and the reality that you're living in, then learn, and that now will guarantee you to move forward. And this is something that I think we need to embrace as a generation. And through this, you look into Africa, and it is right to say that we need to break from the mentality that you have been basing, so that now we look at opportunities and whatever resources that we have at different levels. No. So basing on different opportunities that we're going to get in Africa, let's not look at first world countries, whatever they're doing. In Africa, when you're looking at these opportunities that we are being given, and the freedom that we are being given, we need to break away from the mentality that is limiting us towards specific things. So I always tell people, you as an individual, you have to develop, you have to move forward. And you as an individual who have to move forward does not guarantee that maybe the system will move forward, but you as an individual, are you moving forward in your life? So do not limit yourself mentally and say that, oh, because I'm a woman and the society is men centric, then at the end of the day I am not going to get this opportunity, so I don't have to go to school, I don't have to do this. That is just the mentality that's just the mentality that we have. Just the same way as I was saying, you as an African getting into a plane and you see the person who's driving the plane is an African, and you'll be like, oh my god, this plane is number one, it is Kenyan made, and number two, the pilot is a Kenyan. Then it means the probability of me getting to a place that I'm going is at 0%. So you will not take the flight, which means you have not progressed in whatever level that you are in. So we need, as a generation, to break those chains. We need to break away from that mentality and have the mentality that at the end of the day, if I am living in this place, these are the resources that I'm going to be given based on the society that I'm living in, based on maybe the reality that I'm living in. And if those are the things that I'm being given, how am I making sure that I manipulate these resources so that I can benefit myself? You see, how can I manipulate these resources so that my community can develop? How am I manipulating these resources so that I can move an extra mile for my family, for the generations that are going to come? So I always say that our generation has the biggest task to break the norms when it comes to identity, especially those that come based on assumptions. And that is an example of masculinity, some things to do with masculinity, things to do that Africa is backward, things to do with this, or blah blah blah, because those are the chains that we have been given in. And if those chains are given to us, then at the end of the day we need to break away from it. That is number one, by creating our own education system, making sure how is the education system making us understand more of our reality, make us understand more of our systems, make us understand of more of our resources. And by training and giving new generations such kind of education, then they will understand how can they manipulate these resources so that they can benefit themselves in one way or another. How can we change the script? Because when we live in a society where first world countries have given us a script in which we are going to live in, whether we like it or not, whether it sounds hurtful or not. They have given us that script. when you're looking at the education system, when looking at kind of policies that we have to pass, they are the ones who have given us. So we need to break away from those chains. And when people like me, when you talk to people and give them the reality that for us to break away from these chains, we need, number one, to change our education system. We need to be independent and be ourselves first. Then when we are independent and understand the resources that we have, then now we need to move from a society where we are just consumers into now a society where now we are producers in one way or another, and we are producers based on the systems that we have created by our own selves. Make the mistake from our own systems and made sure we have created solutions from our own systems. Then now we can break away from the same script. Because I always tell people, we cannot be living in the same script that you have been living in and expect that you are going to get different changes. That doesn't work that way. Then at the end of the day, we need to forget about moving forward. So we need to understand that the world is moving forward. It is changing in one way or another, and we cannot be running on the same fuel every single day and think that at the end of the day we are going to move forward or going to move progress. We need to change the reality that we are living in, and the only way you can change that reality is by accepting where, at what level are we at. And when you've already learned at what level are we at, am I ready to learn? Am I ready to put work into it? Am I ready to sacrifice? Because I always tell people, you need to sacrifice a specific thing so that at the end of the day you can get more. It's not just a society of you waking up in the morning, playing, sitting in the house, and at the end of the day you think that progress will come. No, you need to sacrifice. You need to make that sacrifice. That's why every single time you need to sacrifice your time to go to school, get that skill. When you have sacrificed that time, then at the end of the day it is going to guarantee whatever progress you're going to get. You need to sacrifice that time to move from your house, go look for work, go give out the skills or give out every single thing that you have to give to a specific person so that they can pay you, so that you can pay your bills. So life is in the basis of sacrifices, not in the basis of just living and letting it move. This is the reason why you'll find people who are someone is reaching at 30 years old and he's like, what the hell have I been doing? What have I been doing? So bring out issues to do with the mental health. Now having people to do this PC culture where now they don't have so many things to do, so the only thing they have to do is to engrave themselves into emotions based on whatever society they wish that they were living in. So I cannot talk this way, I cannot do this, I cannot talk to this person because if I talk to them I need to bow or I need to do this. Now putting us in a box where now we cannot move forward. No, you see, so that now we can allow ourselves to walk at the no man's land. And the only way you can walk at the no man's land is accepting to be teachable, accept to learn, accept to break the norms of the identity that you have been given in by different societies, and say that okay, I am living in a third world country. These are the resources that I can get in this area. If I get these resources, this is how I'm going to develop myself, so that me as a person or the generation that are going to come after me are going to live a little bit of a better life than me, because now I have identified a way in which I can use the resources that I have been given based on the reality that I'm living in, so that now I can move forward, not in the basis of just recreating things in your mind and trying to move forward. And you find so many young people are stuck on such kind of things. Always give an example. People creating apps, agricultural apps, and a farmer at home cannot use that app and he doesn't want to use it. For him, he just wants to know where can he get fertilizer at a cheaper price. So instead of you looking for ways to use manure so that it can be a little bit cheaper for that farmer, you're creating an app for him to show him where he can get fertilizer. That really it is a very good solution, but it looks like a good solution, but it really doesn't work in a country where internet is not everywhere, or not everyone has a smartphone. So the reality of the matter is, I'm living in this such kind of society. If I'm living in this such kind of society, what are the resources that I find? I have cows, I have animals people eat every day, they throw out waste. Then how can I make sure that I improve my skills in terms of creating manure, and this manure now I can sell to farmers so that they can improve themselves and also can make money out of it. So you find that is now the reality that you can be living in, and you need to break away from such kind of society. Because now when you break away from that, now we can now start talking about freedom. We talk about financial freedom, we're talking about you being mentally free, you being, in terms of physical, you're physically free. When you're looking at the society that you're living in, environment, the environment is free, it is clean and everything. So these, at the end of the day, they are going to come based on you accepting and learning, and accepting that I can learn one way or another, or I can move forward in one way or another. So that now we do not have a society where people are growing up having so much mental issues, having people break down in every aspect of their life, so that now they can be happy, and they can look at ways in which we can move progress. And I will finish by saying there are two things. Either you have to pick the emotions, or you have to pick progress. Those two things don't work together. No, no. It's either you accept that at the end of the day, I am living in this reality, but I need to move forward. I need to learn. I need to gain more skills. I need to train more. I need to meet new people every day, so that at the end of the day, I can improve my living standard and move forward. Or I can be stuck on the emotions of whatever every single person does. I have to comment on it. I have to comment on the basis of whatever I want the society to be as, or whatever I think that at the end of the day, people who are engaging me should behave like. If you get stuck on that, then you'll be stuck on emotions, and you start filtering away people who can help you in terms of development, or who can help you in terms of progress, and you get stuck on you being you yourself, where you can be unteachable. You cannot you are creating solutions that are unrealistic in terms of the reality that you are living in, and you break away from those chains, so that you accept, I am not just any single person in the world, but I'm a person who needs to create change in one way or another in our society. And at the end of the day, I am going to help myself. So through this discussion, it is something that has been coming up every single time, and that is why I really wanted to talk about it today, and say, for especially for us as young people, we need to understand that at the end of the day, we are living in a society that was created with the generation that came in front of us. If they were selfish, maybe that was their reality. If, excuse me, if they were not, and at the end of the day they created a system that worked for them, that is the reality that they are going to live in. So we need to understand that we need to move away from this PC culture and look at, how am I making sure that every single day I'm improving myself, even if it is creating a routine, or creating just a simple routine that you follow every single day. Because I always tell people, not every single person, not every day that you wake up smart. But at the end of the day, you can make your day smart by waking up, creating yourself a routine, and following up the routine, and making sure that that routine helps you propel towards a better person, towards a better decisions that you want to make. When you create such kind of things, then now you break away from the emotional aspect, and then you come to the logical aspect, and looking at, how am I improving myself, how am I making sure that every single day I'm not the same person that woke up. I'm not the single person that woke up yesterday broken, or disappointed on who I am, or disappointed on whatever I want to do. But at the end of the day, I'm a person who wants to achieve this in life, and after I've already achieved this in life, I am ready to walk the path. I'm ready to walk the talk, and sacrifice one way or another. um, so I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining the lab today. Today you've been hosted by Andati Morris, your host, and I want to thank you for joining us. Apart from just joining us, I really wish that you can comment and see if the podcasts are really helping you in one way or another in terms of decision making and also your mental health. Join us on Facebook, that is at Smart Talk Cafe, Twitter at STC254, Instagram at STC254. But you can follow up our podcast, The Lab, at Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and different podcast platforms shared by the link. So follow us every single day, comment in one way or another, so that now we can improve our podcast one way or another and how you're going to get it. Thank you, and have a nice weekend and be blessed. Thank you.